welcome to Nintendo Week for the end of week of May 27th to June 2nd.
I'm your host, Colin McIsaac, and as always, I'm joined by Alex Plant.
I'm a squid.
And Ben Lemoreau.
I'm a kid.
Let's get started with some Nintendo Direct news. On Sunday, Japan got a Nintendo Direct, and then on Monday morning, Nintendo of America uploaded their own, totally unannounced.
They called it a Nintendo Direct Micro.
They had Bill Trinan walk out all tiny, trying to lift pencils and things. It was your typical Nintendo fun.
Yeah, so wasn't Bill Trinan fired? What is he doing announcing things?
They may be paying him with food instead of money now.
I guess he didn't translate anything, so...
See, this Nintendo Direct takes place earlier in the timeline than the previous one.
Well, this isn't the Trinan downfall timeline.
Oh, God.
So, the Nintendo Direct started off with a new Chibi-Robo game called Lash. It's the first full-fledged Chibi-Robo game in a while, and the first one to come to the West since 2007. But it's not a successor in the way that you might think. It's a 2D platformer starring Chibi-Robo, and instead of doing chores and solving people's problems, you'll be running around, whipping enemies with your plug, solving puzzles that way, using it like a grappling hook. It's cute and creative. Looks kind of like a blend of Yoshi's Island, Shantae, and Earthworm Jim, but obviously, with environments that fit the Chibi-Robo world. In addition, there is a super cute Chibi-Robo amiibo that you can get if you buy the game at retail. Using that in-game will give Chibi-Robo superpowers like a ton of health, super speed, and extra long plug. So that is coming to North America this October.
So, this was not one of the ones I included in my shameful Nintendo games you haven't played, just because I honestly forgotten about it, but I have actually never played a Chibi-Robo game either.
Neither have I.
Oh my god, they're so good. Well, the first one's super, super good. First one's super good. I haven't played any of the others because they looked kind of terrible. I don't know my thoughts on this one. It looks creative and fun, but I don't know. It depends on, the footage we saw, I feel like it depends on how early footage that is. You know what I mean? It does look a little clunky.
I'm getting a very indie game vibe from it, which isn't necessarily bad because indie games can be good, but from Nintendo, with all the indie games that they already have on the eShop, I would have expected more.
Is indie just code for low budget and rushed in this context?
Low budget. I mean, and you can there's a certain brand that most indie 2D platformers have, and it's not that they're bad. Again, it's that they're certainly no competitor to Super Mario Brothers, for example. They aim at a very different kind of challenge. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've got to say, it is very smart of them to make the amiibo only available if you buy the game at retail, because I'm willing to bet that a lot more people are going to want that Chibi-Robo amiibo than the actual Lash game. So it's a really clever way to increase demand for what would otherwise be a pretty low-selling title. Now all they have to do is make enough of them, which will almost certainly not happen, but in theory it's good.
Yeah, so I guess the question is, does this mean that a physical copy of Chibi-Robo Lash is going to be really hard to find?
Hopefully not.
Well, I imagine they'll do, because they said it was going to be like a bundle deal, so I imagine they'll sell copies of the game without the amiibo too.
Right, but I mean, what I'm saying though is, I think a lot more people are going to want the amiibo than are going to want the actual game. So if the amiibo's sold out, then nobody's going to be buying the game, but if the amiibo's still in stock, then people are still going to be buying the game.
Right, no, I understand your point, but I'm saying to Alex's point.
No, you're totally true. You're totally right. It adds value to the amiibo. It adds value to the game. It's people like bundles too. It's just a win-win, I think.
Yeah. Also, that amiibo is adorable. Oh my god. Especially, I love Chibi-Robo on the GameCube, so even if I don't like Lash, I cannot wait to have that amiibo.
Chibi-Robo for Smash?
I wanted Chibi-Robo in Smash, seriously.
It's got the amiibo already. I mean,
I'm not at all surprised that he wasn't playable.
Yeah.
Next time. We've got a new Dr. Mario game coming to 3DS called Dr. Mario Miracle Cure. There are some new touchscreen mechanics, a Dr. Luigi mode using those L-shaped pills, there's a competitive multiplayer mode with kooky power-up effects, there's online features, and a new mechanic called Miracle Cure, which unleashes a bunch of new effects on the game. That's coming to the Nintendo 3DS eShop on June 11th, and you can pre-purchase it right now, although, for Japan, it's already available.
It looks pretty good, but I'm just gonna go ahead and stick with Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine forever and ever.
Actually, I skipped Dr. Luigi because I had the WiiWare version of Dr. Mario, and that's basically the same except for with the L-shaped mode.
Yeah, Dr. Luigi was totally just a complete gimmick.
Yeah, but I might go for this because it's handheld, and I don't have Dr. Mario on a handheld, and my wife and I are really competitive at Dr. Mario, so this will get me to play Dr. Luigi.
Well, also this game, I feel like this is the first big new moment for Dr. Mario as a game. I feel like any of the other versions that they've introduced the changes have been so negligible that it's not worth even really getting interested in them. It's just a different system on which to play the same core Dr. Mario game. But for the first time with these new mechanics, I feel like it's actually, the gameplay is evolving.
Yeah.
And so I feel like this is the first time where I'm actually going to check out a new Dr. Mario game. And I think bundling Dr. Luigi with it as like a new mode and these new mechanics and stuff, I think those are all really smart ideas to keep the gameplay of Dr. Mario interesting, but keep it the core Dr. Mario game that people love. I feel like it's the first time that they've taken a big step like that for Dr. Mario, and so while it's not going to be like a revolutionary game, I at least appreciate that they're making these changes to something that was for so long the exact same thing.
Yeah. Part of me wonders if, since they're adding Dr. Luigi to this one, I wonder if they'll bring over the Miracle Cure stuff in some update for Dr. Luigi, because it seems weird that the 3DS game would be more feature-packed than the Wii U game, given that Wii U is the premium console,
Maybe. I think they would make a new Dr. Mario game for Wii U if they're going to do that. I feel like Dr. Luigi was its own thing.
Oh, well, by that you really just mean Wii U is going to get snubbed, because there's no way it's going to get another Dr. Mario game.
Yeah, well, honestly, yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
We also have some new information on Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. It is a totally new Mystery Dungeon game featuring all 720 Pokemon. No wonder they're calling it Super. One thing I noticed that they kind of just dropped in there was that you can actually choose what Pokemon you play as and what Pokemon your partner is, whereas older games based it on a little personality survey. Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon launches on September 17th in Japan, this winter in North America, and it's actually already available for pre-order on Best Buy and Amazon.
Ta-da!
Well, something I noticed, Bill Trennan calls it the ultimate version of the Mystery Dungeon series, and from what we can see in the Direct, the game's setup seems to be remarkably similar to the first two games. So that's pretty interesting. I think, I don't really have much to say about it, but I noticed it and it was neat.
Yeah, it kind of confirms your theory from the last podcast.
Oh, I'm a genius.
I know.
Nintendo also announced Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. Did anyone want this?
If they couldn't get a Wii Sports game to matter on Wii U, there's really no reason why the sort of licensed sports game that isn't as good as Wii Sports would be worthwhile either.
I will say, historically, the Mario and Sonic games have actually sold quite well. Not as much this generation as like some of the earlier ones, but you're looking at almost 8 million for the first one, and then 5 million for the Winter Olympic Games. Another 5 million on Wii and DS.
But on Wii, 5 million is pretty low.
Well, not for a licensed game like this.
Not for a licensed game, no, but I mean, I feel like it's something that they should have killed off. Like,
right.
With
Well,
the Wii.
this is something that they can produce pretty cheaply and pretty quickly with very very little resources devoted, and it's probably going to sell a couple million units.
A couple million. I don't know. Smash Bros can only sell 3 million. Like, this is looking at 700,000.
I think
best.
maybe a million between both versions. Maybe.
Yeah. That's anyway. The latest in the Mario and Sonic series features rugby and golf as new additions, since those sports are going to be included in the actual 2016 Olympics, and soccer because of Brazil. Rugby and golf are exclusive to the Wii U and 3DS versions respectively. There are also some new characters, including Nabbit, Diddy Kong, that purple boss guy from Sonic Lost World. No release date was given, but I'm willing to bet they'll say more about it at E3.
I'm just surprised they're acknowledging that Sonic Lost World exists in
Right?
another game. I mean, it was already in Smash, and that was kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I thought they'd go more to classic Sonic. I mean, I know
Or at least
it was
like
on
Sonic
Wii
Adventure or
U.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that game is just not worth it.
I have nothing to feel for these Mario and Sonic games, except for just the most profound apathy that a human being could ever possibly experience.
Yeah, I downloaded the demo for the last one on 3DS.
Yeah.
Played it for like 15 minutes, and it wasn't.
Yeah, this would make a good free-to-play, but no, not a box retail.
I will say, it's odd that they're including golf and soccer, since those are two big areas that the Mario sports games touch upon, so it does kind of feel like they're creeping in on the dedicated Mario sports games.
And none of those have been on Wii U yet, which is very sad.
Yeah. Huh.
I could use a Strikers.
Well, we do know Next Level Games is working on something. Let's see. Anyway, the Nintendo Direct also had some big news about the free DLC for Splatoon that's available now, but by the time you're listening to this, you've probably already downloaded and experienced that. And actually, it goes hand in hand with some rumors we heard earlier in the week, so we'll talk about that all at once later in the news segment. Nintendo also announced the Western release of Art Academy Atelier. It's been renamed Art Academy Home Studio for the West.
Presumably because we're too dumb to understand French.
Yeah, I like to think it was because, like, they specifically heard our struggle on our podcast.
Yes, this is how Nintendo makes business decisions. They listen to Nintendo Week.
The struggle was real.
But either way, Home Studio is a successor to Art Academy's Sketchpad, which was a great application for art lessons and a great platform for creating digital art. People have made some really amazing stuff with it. It has a ton of new features, including the ability to upload a time-lapse of your painting directly to YouTube. So if you're interested in artistry, you might want to consider getting Art Academy Home Studio when it launches in the Wii U eShop on June 25th. Just like Dr. Mario, Art Academy is also available now for pre-purchase. Home Studio also is compatible with Amiibo. We don't know what Amiibo or in what capacity, but we saw the eShop listing listed as compatible with Amiibo. I kind of feel like it'll be compatible with almost all of them, and you scan it and it'll just give you like a template, like a quick little, I don't know if it'll be an art lesson, but at least like a sketch pad for you to paint over.
Like a coloring
like
book
whatever
sort of thing,
character.
perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty likely. When you mentioned that was the first thing that popped in my head too.
Nintendo also released the first trailer for the Wii U exclusive game from Bandai Namco called Project Treasure, which they revealed a while back. There's never before seen gameplay footage, and more details coming later this year. It's only a minute long, so there's not much we can tell from it just yet, but it looks like there's a neat blend of like hack and slash with mission-based dungeon exploration, where your goal is to find and loot treasure. So that's pretty neat. I think it's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that, this is coming to Wii U at all because, I don't know that Wii U is really that healthy of a platform, obviously, in terms of an install base, and that it would really, necessarily cater to a hack and slash kind of audience. But Bandai Namco's had such a close relationship with Nintendo recently that that's probably why they chose it as the platform.
Mm-hmm. Also, I can't really see this standing toe-to-toe with all the mature games on Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah, they may be hoping it can carve out a niche on Wii U where there's not as much competition for the style.
That's a good point.
The Bayonetta audience, basically.
Trinan also revealed that one of the games the contestants of the Nintendo World Championships should prepare for is the original Legend of Zelda for NES. How exactly they'll compete, we don't know. Maybe speedruns or lowest death counts or something. Either way, it's the first game that we know will be playable at the actual tournament itself.
My wish would be Death Mountain speedruns, because that would be fun to watch.
For the final dungeon?
Yeah, but I get the feeling the format's going to be too compressed for that, and it'll be like the first dungeon or something.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Well, I mean, they could use like restore points.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I think it's a good choice because the skill ceiling is there, whereas it isn't on more modern Zelda games.
Right.
So it'll be good to watch too. It'll be a good spectator event.
Nintendo revealed a brand new 3DS game called LBX Little Battlers Experience. It's apparently made to supplement an anime on Nicktoons and a series of toys based on the show. I don't know if any of you listening have heard of it before, but it's coming to 3DS. It launches around the same time as the second season of the show. But I will say, it does look better than your average licensed game.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought on it, too. Like, at first, I saw it pop up and, heard them say, it comes along with this anime, and it's going to launch to coincide with Season 2 of the anime. And I was thinking...
Right, I don't know that it looks like a great game,
right.
But it looks certainly
There's a lot of
better
detail
than
and customization, which, you don't really get with a lot of your licensed shovelware.
Right. But there's a local battle arena multiplayer with up to 6 people, which is pretty neat. We don't know much about it, but it seems to be more of a guest spot in the Direct than a title that Nintendo's actually really invested in promoting. But that comes out on August 21st, if you're interested. Trinan pointed out that after clearing the main quest in Puzzles & Dragons Super Mario Edition, you will unlock 8 more worlds to beat, much like you do in 3D Land, as well as a slew of new playable characters like Rosalina, Bowser Jr., and more. Meanwhile, in Puzzles & Dragons Z, which comes on the same game cart if you buy it at retail, you will unlock a second whole continent to explore. And they've got a whole system planned for distributing extra monsters and more content online.
So, a remark about the unlocking 8 more worlds. I don't know how closely you guys looked at how they appeared, but it looked like they were, the same old rehash the 8 worlds you've already played.
Yeah, I didn't look super closely, but I felt like that was probably going to be... Like, the moment they revealed, here are 8 more worlds, I was like, oh god, why didn't I expect that? Like,
yeah.
I should have assumed that was the case.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love for them to move on and stop remixing the same things over and over again. So listen to this, Nintendo. If you're gonna add more worlds, at least make them unique worlds, please. Otherwise, you might as well just have an extra difficulty setting or something.
You sound so distraught.
It's one of my biggest pet peeves about the latest Mario games is their extra content is just the same thing I just did, except for at night or something like that.
Yeah, no, I am with you.
And I love it, but but you know, I used to feel like
It's not that special
extra
anymore.
worlds were actually extra worlds.
Tubular.
Tubular, yeah.
Gnarly.
Yeah, you got it.
Finally, they announced that Bravely Second End Layer is coming west. They revealed a little bit of information on the story and the premise, but nothing super spectacular. Just some nice gameplay and cutscene footage mostly, but you can still check that out if you're interested.
I guess it's just more confirmation that 3DS is the handheld for RPGs.
Yeah.
JRPGs. Classic style JRPGs. Let's
Yeah.
just clarify.
Yeah, you get a few on Vita too, but most of them don't end up getting localized, whereas I think Nintendo's done a pretty good job at working with Japanese publishers to bring their games to the West recently, which is something that
Yeah.
Iwata said was going to be a priority.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I will say, I will not consider it the go-to place for JRPGs until we get Golden Sun 3DS. I'm still salty about
Not
that.
Mother 3?
Well, okay, I mean, Mother 3's not coming. It's coming to Wii U. That
yeah,
I believe.
that's probably true.
I have faith. But Golden Sun 3D,
Yeah,
I'm
it
still
does need to
salty
happen.
that they've abandoned that series.
Yeah, I mean, they ended the last game on a cliffhanger and everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough blood, sweat, and tears. Or just tears.
Mostly tears. So that's all the news that came from Nintendo of America's Direct, but before we head to the break, there are a few more things that came specifically from Nintendo of Japan's. There are 2 more Monster Hunter games coming to Japan. The first is a 3DS game called Monster Hunter X, which appears to be the next major installment in the core Monster Hunter series. It's going to feature flashier combat and new special weapons and super actions, so that comes out this winter. There's no word so far on a Western release.
I'll say this seems to show a trend with Capcom where they're trying to take Monster Hunter and make it more mainstream, because they also recently announced Monster Hunter Stories, which is a traditional RPG, and now this one is still the typical Monster Hunter style, but they're making the combat faster, more action paced, more flashy. So I think they finally gotten to the place where Monster Hunter's starting to get popular in the West, and it's at the most popular it's ever been in Japan. So now they're trying to branch out even more and see how they can bring in a more casual audience that has looked at previous Monster Hunter games maybe and said that's too technical for me.
Yeah, no, I certainly tried to play Monster Hunter a while back. I just could not get into it. There was too much of an ability gap. So maybe I'll check more out in the future. But the second Monster Hunter game, though, which also appears to be a Japan exclusive for now, is a 3DS remake of the 2010 PSP game. Now, let's see if I can get this right. It's called Monster Hunter Poka Eru Village.
Close.
Close?
It'd be
do you know how it's actually pronounced?
Iroh Village.
Ah, okay. Iroh Village. I'm just thinking Avatar now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it stars the cat-like felines from the Monster Hunter series in a cute little game that's not super unlike Animal Crossing, but you can dress them up in little clothes and make them go fishing and stuff. It's super cute. But the 3DS remake features Nintendo-themed costumes, and it just looks adorable. So let's hope that it comes to the West.
I wouldn't hold my breath on
Neither
that.
would I, but can still cross my fingers.
I think X could. I think they said something about Monster Hunter 4 doing surprisingly well.
X
in the
definitely
West.
will, but not the...
Oh, yeah.
No, not Poka,
Iroh
Uncle
Village.
Iroh. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Tomodachi Life did surprisingly well. Games in that style are starting to break out in the West, so it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
But is it sad that I heard that there was going to be a Nintendo Japan Direct, and I immediately thought, oh wait, they're going to announce a Monster Hunter game.
No, I'm kind of surprised that I didn't expect
It
that.
seems like they announce about 6 new Monster Hunter games a year now, so...
Yeah. And
I mean, we've had 4 just in the last 3 or 4 months, haven't we?
Yeah.
Between these 2 Monster Hunter stories, and
Yeah.
wasn't there Monster Hunter Chronicles or something
Explorer
like
or something like that on
Explorers.
mobile platforms.
that? Japan is also getting 3 more Wii games on the Wii U eShop. The original Super Mario Galaxy is available now, Punch-Out is coming in June, and Trauma Team is coming in July. So it's odd to me that Nintendo is supplying so many Wii games on the Virtual Console in other territories, like they're getting Pandora's Tower, DKC Returns, Kirby's Epic Yarn, Sin and Punishment, and then Nintendo of America almost half a year ago was just here's 3 games, peace out forever.
yeah, I think this is a good template that Japan's getting, which is release about a 1 Wii game every month. Maybe 1 N64 game every month, 1 DS game, 1 NES, Super NES game.
Right, and it's not like it would be hard. I mean, the Wii, especially the Wii games, it's literally just a ROM-dump.
Yeah, it's not even emulated.
Yeah, what I don't get about it is, now I don't know if this is entirely the same case for Nintendo, but for Sony, for example, they were asked, why are you rolling out like all these digital features and such in America before other regions? And they basically said American audiences just are more likely to consume digital content than other audiences, so we roll out stuff there first. So I don't know if that's the same case with Nintendo, if they have a healthier eShop in America than in Japan. But if they do, then I really don't understand why they take so long to bring some of these games to America.
Yeah, it's really odd. You would think, especially just given how easy it would be, that they would... I'm surprised that it's not even one game a month. I would expect like two or three a month because of just how little it would cost them to do and how much potential they could have in like bringing more attention to these older games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's not like they're making money on Kirby's Epic Yarn anymore, but if they released it digitally worldwide, they would.
Yeah, and not only that, it helps them fill some of the gaps in the Wii U's lineup.
Yeah, it's weird that they're not doing that because you'd think that they would want to fill those gaps.
Yeah. I noticed that they tend to release legacy games when there's some kind of opportune moment where they can promote a newer game. Like
Duck Hunt?
Yeah, Duck Hunt. Well, I mean, Duck Hunt was the Smash Bros. Tie-in.
Yeah.
They released the Donkey Kong Country trilogy to do a sale for Tropical Freeze, right?
I feel like they did a sale for Tropical Freeze to promote the trilogy. I feel like the Donkey Kong Country trilogy coming back was big enough news in itself. Because, I mean, none of the headlines were saying there's a sale for Tropical Freeze, also you can get Donkey Kong Country now. All the headlines were saying, it's been 4 years, we can play Donkey Kong Country again.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course. But they tacked on a Tropical Freeze sale, and it was like around the 1 year anniversary.
No,
so it's like they don't release games just because. They release games as like a marketing tool or as a sales driver for some other thing. Like, I don't get why they're not interested in just building out the catalog just for the sake of building out the catalog.
Yeah.
Well, I know they've talked in the past about how they think it's actually more profitable to have like a slow trickle of games onto the eShop because they feel if they put too many, then they'll have a hard time promoting any of them and they'll miss out on sales just because people won't realize that game's on the eShop. But I don't know, they must have some statistics to back that up, but I feel like they could definitely release at a faster rate that they are, even if that is the case.
Well, yeah, I mean, they dropped, like I said, they dropped 3 6 months ago and then just left.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the slowest paces I've ever seen.
Yeah, surely they can be one high-profile game a month.
Yeah.
At least.
There was also a new Japan exclusive section that highlighted a major new feature in Fire Emblem If called My Castle. Essentially, My Castle lets players create and curate their own little Fire Emblem village, where all the shops and the resting areas and stuff are consolidated as opposed to previous games where they're either spread out on a map or found through these in-game menus. This whole thing is like a radical expansion of the barrack systems found in Awakening. There's just so much to do here, it's really unbelievable. If you're interested, I would suggest checking out the video at Gamnesia. There's also one with English subtitles so you can better understand what's actually going on. But you can street pass to visit other people's kingdoms. You can even pet your characters like a Pokemon and Me, but for humans. It's really weird and hilarious. It's like an official waifu simulator. One of the ones they showed off was like this huge hulking man who says, "I'm honored to be directly touched by you."
How long were you waiting to say waifu on this podcast?
Longer than I should have been.
That's the only reason this is a discussion segment item, isn't it?
No, I found it funny that it is an official waifu
That
simulator.
is what it is. It's exactly
like,
what it is.
There's no other way to describe it.
That's a genre too. Like, so it's a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a little creeped out by the fact that that's actually getting in a Nintendo game.
Yeah.
But that aside, I mean, it's good that they're making all these sort of interaction sort of sequences more interactive. Because it did feel like the barracks stuff was all automated in Awakening, and there was no real player participation.
Well, a lot of the My Castle stuff is good that they're making it more interactive. The waifu simulator.
Well, that could be less interactive.
That's weird.
That's a kind of interaction that I might find a little weird, but some people are into that.
It's
so,
not.
I mean, sure.
Yeah, but no, I mean, it feels so unnatural because it's like no one like pokes someone in the forehead and then brings their finger down their face and then
speak for yourself.
And then is flattered by that. Like that's
they are.
It doesn't feel like natural human interaction there.
That is like I said, that is a genre in Japan, and this game is very overtly Japanese influenced.
That's true.
Even compared to Fast Fire Emblem games. But still, man, waifu.
And finally, they revealed some new information about Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, but in particular, they revealed the pricing model. The game itself will cost $40, and then the cards that you need to play the game will come in packs of $3 3 random cards. So it's really more like buying trading cards than it is buying Amiibo, where you know what you're getting with the NES box, if you can find NES. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
I think it sucks.
Yeah, like, I thought for sure this would be a free-to-start game.
Yeah, I thought they confirmed it too, actually.
I thought I remembered hearing that and everything.
Which, I mean, it may, and like, this was exclusive content to the Japanese Direct, so it may be possible that it's $40 in Japan to start, but free to start here.
That's possible too, because I remember people thinking the Fire Emblem If business model would be kind of fishy in the West.
Yeah,
so
and
maybe
so
that's
having
the
a
case
$40 game that you then need to buy randomized Amiibo cards to even play.
Yeah, that's the part that really gets me, is that, A, you're locking, crucial content behind Amiibo cards, and then B, they're randomized.
The game is Amiibo.
We always knew that this game was just an Amiibo scheme and really nothing more.
Yeah, but it's also a packaged game scheme. Like, what?
Right.
Yeah, the fact that it's both is a little frustrating, especially since, Nintendo has always said that, a game should feel complete without DLC, but I know this isn't technically DLC, but when you have to buy random packs of cards and just hope you get the thing you need to play your game, that's pretty scammy to me.
Yeah, these aren't extras. These are the core of the game.
Well, our final bit of Nintendo Direct news. We know that Iwata did not host this week's Direct, but he wanted to make it very clear that he is not retiring from hosting them. I'm sorry, Alex. I know that means your dream is shattered.
He's not that bad. But yeah, I didn't really miss him that much. Sorry, Iwata.
So, with all this said and done with the Nintendo Direct, does anyone have any overall thoughts or final comments about the Direct as a whole?
Yeah, I have one very positive comment and one very negative one. So, being who I am, I'll start with the negative one. And I just thought it was really weird how they released the Nintendo of America Direct with just no fanfare whatsoever. I mean, it usually frustrates me that they only announce them like 36 hours in advance. But this one, it's just, I wake up and... Oh, what? There was a Nintendo Direct?
I'm going to completely second that. I was kind of furious about that, because we had nobody here, like, ready to cover it. I woke up and I was like, oh my god, this thing hit 3 hours ago. Like, and we don't have anything up. Like, I was mad. I know that my perception is skewed, because I imagine to fans that would be really exciting. Oh my god, we got a Nintendo Direct. Like, who would have thought? But, just from our side of things, it was really frustrating.
Right, well, and that affects the fans, too, just because if the media outlets
we
can't
get our
accurately
news out
get
as
the news
official.
out, yeah.
We can't...
But my positive note is, I feel like them having this Direct just 2 weeks before E3, and then basically being like, yes, this game's coming to America, yes, this game's coming to America, we're going to introduce this small game, give you some details on this game. I feel like they're clearing a lot of small stuff out of the way in time for E3, which gives me hope that means we're going to see some big announcements at E3, and that E3 won't... The Nintendo, whatever they call it, not the Direct,
digital event.
Yeah, the digital event. That will be almost entirely focused on... announcements for AAA games, for big important games, or for new games.
Or for DLC for old games, like Smash Bros, Mario Kart.
Yeah, that would be alright.
Colin got there first.
There's going to be Smash Bros DLC announced.
I honestly hope there's Mario Kart. That would be a really good surprise. Even considering that it would be a DLC announcement at E3.
Sky Garden, come on, Nintendo, you can do it!
There's still time.
Also, Rainbow Cup.
Also,
all 8 Rainbow Roads. But anyway.
Yeah,
yes,
all the rest of the Rainbow
discussion.
Roads. That was totally my thought when they announced the second pack. Anyway.
Anyway.
Another discussion. No, I agree with you, Ben. Definitely good that they're getting these small announcements out of the way.
Yeah, for sure.
And in Japan, too, there were actually, I would say, more major announcements, like talk about Fire Emblem If and Monster Hunter. And all that stuff is good to get in this sort of away from E3 venue where they can focus on their big stuff.
Yeah. Awesome. So, everybody, thank you so much for listening. This is the end of Nintendo Week for today. If you like this podcast, please subscribe to us on iTunes or subscribe to us on YouTube at Gamnesia TV for bite-sized discussions from the show. And please head to iTunes to leave us a review. It really helps with visibility, so we greatly appreciate it, especially if you have good things to say instead of bad ones. If you have feedback for Nintendo Week, please send it to colin@gamnesia.com. That's COLIN at gamnesia.com. And remember to send in your questions about Nintendo, about our show. We love engaging with you guys, and we read them and talk about them here on the show, so it is a great way to get involved. Again, that's colin@gamnesia.com. And if you can't wait till next week for more of our stuff, you can head to gamnesia.com to see more gaming news as it happens. We've got Sony, Microsoft, Indie, you name it, and even more Nintendo news that we didn't have the time to discuss on this week's show. And again, that's coming out every single day as the news happens, instead of building up and releasing on the Wednesdays. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope that you have another great week. Bloop. Yeah, we didn't have any bloopers this week.